Okay, so we are here to talk a little bit about smart networking and how you can set goals for meaningful career connections. Again, I'm Diane Hall. I'm the Senior Associate Director, the team in Career Services that works with graduate students and postdocs. So we will have a link at the end if any of you have any particular questions that you would like to be addressed individually. We welcome you to schedule time to chat with us here in Career Services. So, what are we going to be talking about today? First of all, why network? Why is networking really important and what do you hope to gain out of it? Then we're going to talk a little bit about what is smart networking. Smart networking is a way to set goals for yourself and make sure that you are attaining them. Then we're going to talk a little bit about resources and tools available from Career Services to help you and things that I think that you could be doing today to really get started. So first of all, why network? What we know about networking is that this is how almost all people find jobs and internships. It is the number one effective thing that you can be doing in order to find a job or internship. However, you really need to go into networking with three goals in mind. A lot of students come to me and say, I'd like a referral. I would like to work at this particular place for a job or internship. And that is certainly a worthwhile goal, but there needs to be some things that are happening with networking before you actually get to that point of getting a referral. So, when you approach networking conversations, there's sort of three things that you really want to be thinking about. The first is something seems interesting to you. Is it the career field? Is it the particular employer? There's something about this that seems interesting. You want to learn more because you want to really figure out, is this actually as interesting as I think it is, right? And the best way to do that is by talking to people that either work at that organization, who work in this career field, to learn a little bit more about, is this as interesting as you thought? Because you only want to pursue things that you really think are going to be interesting. The second thing that you can use networking conversations for, excuse me, is to think a little bit about, do you have the skills necessary to do the things that interest you, right? Are you qualified to do these types of things? And if the answer is no, you're missing some few key skills, then you can ask yourself, what can you do to obtain them? Are there classes that you can take? Are there LinkedIn learning modes that you could go through? Things that you could do to gain some of these skills that you're learning have been really important to be successful or to obtain a job or an internship in this field. And the third thing is to make connections that could lead to leads or referrals down the line. And I think a lot of people approach networking with number three in mind. And I'm saying to you, start up with number one. Because once you've made a connection with someone and had a conversation about number one, number two, then you can think about this third piece of, is this connection that could potentially lead to me being alerted to an opportunity? Could I be alerted to be referred for a job or an internship? So, what I want to talk a little bit about today also is really being intentional about networking, right? We in Career Services meet with lots and lots of graduate students who come to us and say, I need to network. I know I need to network because I really want a referral and I really want a job or internship. And what I'm saying is, you really want to be a little bit more intentional about your networking. Whether you just got here in the fall or whether you're about to graduate in December, now is the time to network. And so, what you really want to focus on is building authentic relationships, right? Building relationships that are going to be helpful to you over time as opposed to transactional. The second thing you really want to be thinking about is clarifying your goals, right? Not only your career goals in terms of, I'd like to get this job, I'd like to get this internship, but clarifying your goals for the networking interaction as well. Being intentional will also help make the best use of your limited time. You guys are graduate students. You don't have a ton of time on your hands. We know that. You're busy doing your academic work. Some of you already have opportunities, research you're working on, clubs you're involved in. So you have very limited time and your time is valuable. And so you want to make the best use of this limited time. Fourth, you really want to increase your visibility and your credibility, right? So building networking relationships over time will be helpful because you could have a conversation with someone today because they do something that's very interesting to you. And then in 6 weeks, perhaps that connection has an opportunity on their team. Well, now that they know you and you've been visible to them and you've developed some level of credibility, they might think, oh, I should get back in touch with that student and let them know we've posted this opportunity. And the other is to open doors to unexpected opportunities. Not all jobs and internships are posted, right? We know that. And so being intentional about networking could potentially open doors to opportunities that you didn't even know existed. So, when and how is the best time to network? So, consistently, do not wait. Today is a perfect day to think a little bit about how you're going to implement your networking plan. Strong professional relationships really take time. They don't develop overnight. You're not going to have a conversation with someone today and be referred for an internship tomorrow. And so, really, all the time is the best time to be networking, not necessarily exactly the time that you need it. Which leads to my second point, in advance, i.e., not exactly when you need it, right? The perfect time to be having a networking conversation is actually when you're not really looking for something at this exact moment and you don't have that urgency about, I need something out of this networking relationship. And the third piece is strategically, right? You really want to be strategic about who you're reaching out to, what you're saying to them, and what you're asking of them. So what I really want you to take away from this is in other words, the best time to network is anytime. And what we're here to talk a little bit about are SMART goals and how you can really create goals for you around networking to really enhance the networking experiences that you're having. So what does SMART mean? So S.M.A.R.T, SMART, specific. The goal needs to be concrete and tangible. You need to know what this looks like, right? And we're going to talk a little bit in a moment about some examples of this. Measurable. So you really need to have a goal that has an objective measure in which you can say, am I doing this, right? Am I doing this? So it's success that you can understand. The third is challenging, right? You're pushing yourself, but it's attainable. So we'll talk a little bit about some examples of goals that are attainable and maybe goals that aren't attainable. Relevant, really meaningful, contributing to the larger objectives of what your overall mission is, which in many cases might be to obtain a job or internship. And then timeline. You really need to have a deadline as well as sort of a timeline of progress milestones. And we're going to talk a little bit about how you can sort of break all your networking goals into chunks in order to really feel like you're making some progress. And when I say chunks, I mean small bites, not big bites, so that you can think about, am I meeting these? So let's talk about what a specific goal might be. It is going to clearly identify what is expected, why is this important, who is involved, where might it happen, and what resources are involved in its achievement. So a vague and sort of non-specific goal might be like, I would like an internship for the summer of 2026, right? That seems a little bit specific, but it is specific, but it's so broad that it's very hard to define. So a more specific goal might be identify the skills I have gained through my master's program, which will make me qualified for an internship. That's really specific. It's expected, you're showing why it's important, who's involved, it's you, where it will happen, and the resources involved in its achievement. So that could be a specific goal. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about measurable. Needs to have some level of tangible evidence and a little bit for you to know whether or not you've accomplished this, right? Can you measure it? So building on our previous slide of a specific goal, identify the skills I have gained through my graduate program, which can help with my narrative by connecting me with 5 to 7 Penn alums, right? So 5 to 7 Penn alums is measurable. You'll know whether you've connected with 5 to 7 Penn alums. And I want to be a little bit specific when I say connecting. I do not mean sending a connection request on LinkedIn and having them accept it. Because while that does help you get closer to 500 or to cross that 500 threshold of connections, getting a new connection on LinkedIn in and of itself really doesn't do anything for you. When I say connecting, I actually mean having some sort of interaction with them over email, over Zoom, over text, etc. So more than just connecting on LinkedIn. Third piece is achievable. And this should really be some stretching, right? This should not be super easy. For most people, probably a little bit uncomfortable. So you want to challenge yourself while defining the goal enough that it can actually be achieved, right? You don't want to create something that's such a stretch that it's going to be unlikely you're going to be able to complete that goal, and then you're going to feel badly that you didn't finish it and sort of step backward. So you really want to ask yourself the question, how can I accomplish this goal? So building on what we've said is specific and measurable, identifying the skills I have gained through my graduate program, which can help me with my narrative by connecting with 5 to 7 Penn alums and by speaking to alums I do not know, but who do something interesting to me, right? Depending on how long you've been here at Penn, some of you may already have Penn alums. Maybe you're in a 2-year program and they were second-year students and have since graduated. So, you all of you probably have some level of alumni or other kinds of networking connections that you already know that you can talk to. That's easy. I'm asking you to stretch a little bit and find alums who you do not know, right? Because what we know about networking and identifying job and internship opportunities is that you know a cohort of people around you, but the most powerful people tend to be a little bit removed from that immediate circle of people that you know. So we want to challenge you to think about, speak to alums you do not know, but who do something interesting to you. Relevant. So you want to make goals that are really relevant, right? That are going to be important. Does this seem worthwhile? Is this the right time, right? Is now the right time? And does this match other efforts and other needs that you're working on? So again, we're building on what is specific, what's measurable, what's achievable. Now we're adding relevancy. Identify the skills I have gained through my graduate program, which can help me with my narrative by connecting with 5 to 7 alums and by speaking to alums I do not know in order to learn what skills are in demand, right? So thinking back to those 3 things you're hoping to get out of a networking conversation, you're hoping to figure out, is something still as interesting to you? And second of all, you're trying to figure out, do I have the skills that are really interesting? And what you're trying to figure out here are these skills, I'm trying to figure out what skills are in demand so I can identify, do I have these skills? If I don't, can I get them? If I do have them, am I presenting them well on my resume? Am I presenting them well on my LinkedIn profile? And then finally, time bound. Start and finish date. Deadlines really increase urgency and they lead to achievement, right? And again, these are internal deadlines. So they are certainly not deadlines that you yourself need to worry about with a faculty member, but we're going to say all of the things that we said in SMART, measurable, achievable, and relevant. Identify the skills I have gained through my graduate program, which can help me with my narrative by connecting with 5 to 7 Penn alums and by speaking to alums I do not know in order to learn what skills are in demand. Conclude conversations by November 25th, which is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving break. So that gives you about a month. Could you have conversations with 5 to 7 alums in the next month? It's an ambitious goal, right? Because we mentioned stretching, we mentioned pushing. Do I think it's achievable? Absolutely. I do think that it's achievable. So I'm going to move on to tell you a little bit about what sort of resources career services would have to help you with these topics, but feel free to drop questions in the chat if you have specific questions about what those SMART goal setup looks like. But let's talk a little bit about some of the resources that I think would be helpful to you as you move forward. So we have this excellent networking best practices, and I'm going to ask Hannah to drop the link in the chat so you can all find this. And there's really kind of 5 areas that we focus on. We say for introverts, but I really think that this is really for anyone. So the first is clarifying your purpose, right? What is it that you're trying to do with these networking conversations? Start small and grow big. So again, starting maybe with some people that you know, then growing it to be people that you don't know. Leveraging small groups, I do think that joining groups across campus can be really, really helpful. Most graduate students that I interact with spend most of their time interacting with other people from their own program. And we have an entire university with 12 different schools and hundreds of different graduate programs. Join a campus group, join a campus club. It doesn't have to be anything professional oriented, it could be something socially oriented as well. But what you can do is you can gain some networking conversations through this as well. And it will give you good practice in talking to people that you don't know around a shared interest. Following up, um, absolutely, whenever you are doing networking, you always want to follow up. So when you have a networking conversation with someone, you don't want to just let it lie that day. You really want to move on and keep the conversation going. LinkedIn can be a great way to do that. And really commit to short bursts of networking for long-term success. So we talk here about 10 minutes a day networking steps. And I think that can be really helpful. Again, getting back to those SMART goals, consistency is really key. What you don't want to do is reach a point where you say, I'm looking for an internship, I'm going to network and network only for that purpose, right? It's something that you can really keep going throughout your time as a graduate student at Penn. Once you're ready to make connections with people and to have these informational interviewing conversations, we have this great informational interviewing guide for graduate students and postdocs. Hannah can drop the link to that as well. It's really going to give the basics of informational interviewing, how to find people to meet with, what kinds of questions might you ask, what kind of questions should you not ask, etiquette, and then following up and how you're going to actually thank people for these conversations that you have. Most students will ask me, where can I find these alumni to network with? I think the best place to find people is on LinkedIn. And I am happy at the end, once we stop recording, to show you a quick LinkedIn tutorial of what that might look like in terms of trying to find people on LinkedIn that you might identify with. This has information in there about LinkedIn, also about MyPenn, which is the Penn alumni database, which will often give you contact information for the people you might be wanting to reach out to. The MyPenn alumni database will actually give you access to all Penn alums, not just alums from your particular program. The Beyond Graduate School platform is an excellent resource for taking a look at master's students and some of the networking needs that you might have. They have some excellent programs coming up that would be helpful. You'll see how to stand out in an AI-driven job market, why recruiters are ignoring you. These are previous programs from earlier in October, which were recorded. And then upcoming on November 5th, which is next week, 3 mistakes you're probably making on LinkedIn. We have a similar program for PhDs and postdocs called the PhD Career Training Platform. I really think Beyond Graduate School offers the best information about LinkedIn. And so even though it's geared toward master's students, if you are looking for specific LinkedIn information, I think this is a great place to take a look. As we keep mentioning LinkedIn, many of you might be wondering, what are some of the things that you can do to improve your LinkedIn profile? And one of the easiest things that you can do today, tomorrow, is come to our office and get a free professional headshot in our photo booth. Anyone with a Penn card is welcome to come by. This is my headshot here. I always feel like I'm staring at this large picture of myself, but this is what it looks like. Free headshots for any Penn student or staff. We are at 3935 Walnut on the 3rd floor. You can come by Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. And this is an easy way to feel like you're making some real progress in updating your LinkedIn profile. So now I want to give you a few steps that I think you can take today and tomorrow in making some steps toward improving your networking and these SMART networking goals. So update your LinkedIn profile. Join relevant Penn groups on LinkedIn. Many of your academic programs will have LinkedIn groups that you can join, in which it's an easy way to find alumni. Once you join those, or even just by looking up Penn alums on LinkedIn, you can see how other students in your program and alumni have written their narrative in LinkedIn. Create your own SMART goals and then begin connecting. And again, when I talk a little bit about connecting, I'm not talking about connecting on LinkedIn. I'm talking about actually having interactions with people who you might have found on LinkedIn. This is the Penn alumni group on LinkedIn. As you can see, we have 210 alumni on the University of Pennsylvania page. These are all alums that you can search for, and I'm happy to show you in a moment how you can do that. Some great resources here. We do have a LinkedIn masterclass that Penn has paid for you to have access to. This usually costs $100, and it will tell you basically everything that you would ever need to know about updating your LinkedIn profile. As a part of our upcoming programs and career foundations, we are having a LinkedIn lab on Thursday at 10 a.m. On the next slide, I have some information about how you can register for upcoming events. This is an opportunity for you to come, meet with me, meet with your peers, and get real life feedback on your LinkedIn profile.